Time to do what mammals were designed to do and sit on the couch.
On the flip side, what's the forfeit?
As in, like, if I fail,
We are going to show you how to finger the line. And I kind of almost managed to say that with a straight face. Almost. We spoke a fair bit about coverage and we started kind of divvying up. We spoke about the rules and we started getting into eye lines a little bit. And eye lines are one of those
yes.
crucial building blocks to understand in terms of coverage. If I kind of understood what I heard, you're kind of in a situation with eye lines where you feel that your skill level and confidence level with matching eye lines aren't yet at a level where you feel like you can implement it correctly on set. And so
I'm in a bit
you're
of a
not
death
necessarily
cycle.
taking the effort to do so. So my kind of observation with that is how are you then going to get to a level with eyeline matching, not just matching, but actually being able to make creative decisions using eyelines if you don't feel confident enough to actually try it on set.
So it's a bit of like an endless cycle, and feeds into that whole practice culture discussion that kind of leaks into all of our chats,
Can you tell that
which
I
is
have a little bit of an agenda? Just
a
tiny
little
little
bit of an
bit.
agenda, just a tiny bit. I think when you taught us about eyelines, I do remember like the practice. I remember the exercise that we did. I remember it being pretty great, and then I remember never doing it again.
Uh-huh.
Once or twice at home. It was very perfunctory. I remember the
So kind of
hands.
non-flippant question. Why do you think it never happened again?
The combination of actually not even a combination. It was mostly just like the fact that we're in a degree. We have three other units per trimester, and I think at this point we're doing camera lighting two or advanced cine at this point. I think it was advanced cine.
We did it in both units.
Right. Okay. Really? Oh my God.
Yes, I
Um,
know.
I mean, oh yes, of course. But when we did the Eyelines, camera lighting too, both times I probably would have been simply more like prioritizing the assigned work of other units over my self-guided practice work for camera and lighting two and advanced cine, simply because I didn't have the time or the mental energy to continue with
Yep.
that kind of thing. And on what you were saying earlier off camera about the fact that no matter how hard you've been trying, I think the practice culture hasn't really cemented itself in any facet of learning in the industry. With the guitar example, where like, you should, when you play guitar, you are encouraged to practice as often as possible, which means getting things wrong until you get it right. It's just something we don't learn naturally in the industry, or at least not on like like on the small scale. On the large scale, everyone knows that if you make more movies, you're probably going to get better at making movies. Hence, like, watch a short, dislike it, think, okay, next short,
As in, sorry, watch a short that you
see
made
how this goes.
yourself.
Yeah, watch a short you've
Yep.
made yourself, hate it, and then go, okay, next short. Let's see what I can improve upon.
Yeah. So like
Notably,
suck a little less next time.
suck a little less. I mean, also notably, I think that the thing is I guarantee you that I'll watch the short that I worked on most recently and probably have like a few issues with it. You're never discouraged on the large scale when writing a screenplay or producing a short film to stop if you think what you've made is bad. However, on the small scale, I think that failure, doing an exercise wrong, or getting a poor result out of an exercise can kind of mean a little bit of like an implicit sort of, okay, you've gotten it wrong, maybe leave it to someone else. It might not be your area.
Let me see if my reading between the lines is this kind of in the ballpark or not.
Okay.
How much of it do you think is always creeping, impending imposter syndrome? Do
I
you know
think,
what I mean by imposter syndrome?
no, I do, yeah. As in the imposter syndrome that motivates me to never put any filmmaking role in my Instagram bio or anything. Oh, I'm not quite there yet.
The way that imposter syndrome really can kill confidence.
Mm,
As
mm,
in, deep down, I feel like I don't belong.
mm,
I shouldn't be
mm.
here. And so every kind of little stumbling block, every time we don't get it, like hit the ball out of the park, it's kind of like, oh, this is the time when we're going to get found out. Now it's really going
Yeah.
to show to everyone else that, yes, I am an imposter and I really don't belong. How much of that do you think
Yeah.
is there?
A little bit, I think. Unfortunately for everyone else around me, I've had a fair bit of confidence at most times, but I also don't practice very much, which might be why. I feel like, and there's also that kind of like if I practice a fair bit, I might prove to myself I'm not going quite as well as I thought I was. Hence the hesitancy.
And that's where like I draw the analogy to music. That
Mm.
for me would be the equivalent of learning an instrument only by
At a
playing
concert.
concerts. Yeah.
Mm.
I wonder if this is an observation from my side, and I'd love to hear from the other side, i.e., from
Mm.
a student's side of it.
Mm.
I feel that very often students aren't doing exercises often enough to start seeing improvement. As
Yeah,
in,
that's
they
exactly.
will give up for whatever reason, be that imposter syndrome,
Mm.
be that scheduling, be that logistics, whatever the reason is, they never manage to follow through enough to start seeing the improvement.
Yeah.
And particularly the improvement in confidence. Why do you think that is? From your end
For me
of it?
personally, it's definitely a scheduling thing. I know that there are plenty of people I know who like, including myself, who would practice once and then would probably be discouraged to continue when they get it wrong. That includes me.
Mhm.
But also, unfortunately, I really value free time. So if I, for example, am at uni and I've just finished my assigned work, I am much more inclined to go, okay, time to do what mammals were designed to do and sit on the couch for a
Mhm.
little bit and
Yeah.
watch something, which is something that like I probably value free time a little bit too much. I think it's kind of at odds with the way that people are supposed to work in this industry. That's a very, very personal thing. However, there is an exception. I was pretty happy with the way that our development journals for Advanced Cine, that was something where my value for free time kind of was actually superseded by my interest in like learning. I
Mhm.
wrote the shit out of that thing. Like I loved it. It was great. It did feel like homework sometimes, but the second it was
Yeah.
self-guided and I was actually learning because of myself, it was great.
Mhm.
But then you have to consider it was also very easy learning because a lot of it was sitting at the computer, absorbing information, then putting it back in my own words. And when I did do the occasional exercise, I haven't done it since. For example, I did a an exercise. I used a Barbie for it, and I criminally underexposed it. That's it. I used it was a practice exercise with cove lighting, which I would luckily for me later go on to actually use in my
Mhm.
short. I did a practice exercise. I had this little desk that was kind of built like that and had like two drawers. So I was able
Mhm.
to build a little
So
studio underneath it where the chair
on
was
a one
supposed
to
to be.
six scale.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yep. Mhm.
I put a Barbie in it. I got a thing of a bed sheet, folded it into like a bunch of. I folded it quite small, laid it as like a cove against the wall, and then pointed two torches at it. Made a diagram out of it and everything. Took photos and underexposed it so badly that it was a functionally useless exercise. And at that point, I had packed up and I looked at the photos and I was like, done. And I was like, oh, well, like I bumped the exposure up on my computer, but the difference was negligible because obviously the camera had been picking up enough light in the first place to notice differences. It was rough. Like that sucked. And it's still in my journal. And those images are still there and they're noisy as hell. And there's basically no difference. I had to like number them and sort them. So like there was a point where a lack of an ability in another skill or a gap in knowledge is enough to
Mhm.
hijack an exercise that's targeted at expanding a different part of your knowledge.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
also an issue.
Mhm. How much of that plays into it then? Is part of the figuring out what you need to figure out. Part of the I didn't know that I
Mm.
didn't know
Yeah,
is
yeah.
very
That's the thing. It's the
often
whole.
kind of an unmasking of all the inabilities that you didn't know you had.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
And like, okay, if I had been if I had been even more studious, I would have taken down a note. Oh, learn to expose with such and such next time. Do this correctly. I did not.
Mm-hmm.
I did what I had to do because it was homework at that point. And like,
Mm-hmm.
again, it became kind of perfunctory. It became another part of my work.
Mm-hmm.
So I think going forward, now that I've specialized a bit, for example, what I'm doing with writing right now is I'm just basically forcing myself to write. I want to get a short screenplay done by like in the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I want that done. I want to write short screenplays as often as possible. I haven't got a great routine yet. I haven't built a routine, but it has taken up more of my free time than it normally has, and I'm slowly building a habit. I need to, now that I've specialized in writing and cinematography, I need to build a habit out of basically
The
going
H,
back to my development journal.
the H
Yeah,
word, the
that
H word.
habit. Yeah, build a habit. Yeah, that's the thing.
Are you familiar with a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron?
Not at all. What's up with Julia Cameron?
Do me a favor, go and read the book.
Okay, wait, go and read the book or don't read the book?
Do read the book.
Okay,
The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
gotcha. Book to
A lot of what this book is about is shutting up the lizard brain. And part of a practical takeaway exercise is what she calls the morning pages, where you set yourself a target like every single morning, the very, or afternoon, or whenever you get out of bed. The first thing you do after your slumber is to commit thoughts to paper.
Oh, okay.
And I think initially she set it at 1 page, handwritten, and before you get to do anything else, that page needs to be full.
Wow. Okay.
Just to get in the habit of producing. And she's going like, for all I care, and I'm paraphrasing, for all I care, if you fill that page with, this is a stupid exercise, I hate doing this, just, Bart Simpson style, till the page is full. Excellent. Fantastic. I like that for me really helped me getting in the habit of like getting out of my own way and just do.
That sounds great.
I've found with my drawing, so I've been doing this daily drawing exercise now for nearly 3 years. I haven't missed a single day. Part of what has helped me stick with it is almost exclusively for those 3 years been doing 30-second drawings. Because my aim with my drawing isn't to become a finished artist, as in being able to sell my artworks from my own drawings or paintings or whatever is it. That isn't my end goal with that skill. My end goal with that skill is to be able to communicate to others and to trial out ideas for myself by seeing them on an image. The second benefit that it took me a while to realize, speed is the greatest killer of the lizard brain. Doing things fast. You don't have time to judge yourself. In a 30-second drawing, because you have to move on to the next one, you don't have time to go, oh, that's shit, you're never going to be an artist. Like, what is that? You have to move on to the next one. That has helped me get out of my own way. I'm now better able to kind of go, okay, all right, so, the head's still a little big. Work on that. Oh, I've already eaten 10 seconds into the next drawing. So rather than dwell on it being a mistake, if you can do things faster, you have to move on. You don't have time to kind of beat yourself up.
That reminds me of, I wonder if we can find a link to it and put it in the show notes at some point. Ursula K. Le Guin's writing
Earth Song or... Oh, actual writing advice, Let's see, that's it's been a long time.
I haven't read them yet. Let's have a look. As you can see,
I probably shouldn't encourage this, but you do need to set aside some time because it's a big saga.
Oh yeah. So here's her writing routine, and she gets most of her writing done in the morning. Keep that in mind. 5:30 a.m. Wake up and lie there and think. 6:15 a.m. Get up and eat breakfast. Parentheses lots. 7:15 a.m. Get to work. Writing. And she does that until noon, has lunch, reads, cleans her house, makes dinner, and then, according to her, does stupid things at night. She only writes from 7:15 into the morning until noon. And then she obviously spends from 5:30 a.m. onwards thinking about what she's going to write. And when a writer says that, she probably means thinking and writing down what she thinks. Like you said with the Julia Cameron book. I honestly do think that a great way to build a habit from personal experience is getting it done in the morning. I think the morning is, because we're tired.
If you do it as the first thing you do, then it's much more difficult to find excuses.
Exactly, yeah.
Giving yourself rewards. Set yourself goals. Yeah. So many days, etc. I allow myself XYZ, whatever.
Not too many awards though. Delayed gratification is very important.
Keep your very, very first exercise. Make a record of it. Seal up that record and put it aside. Don't look back at it immediately. Once you've managed to build a habit and you've been doing this for, say, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, then go back and look at it and see the difference. When you kind of, a few months into it, get to that hump where you kind of go, is this going anywhere? Then go back and go, hopefully, if you have been applying yourself, then you should see a difference.
Yeah.
So you can go back then and go, yes, this is actually taking me somewhere.
All right.
Right.
Let's talk about eyelines.
What do you remember about our eyeline exercises?
I remember I still have the photos. I remember us using the hand gestures that I haven't memorized. I need to memorize these first. And basically, you would put your thumb or whatever was on the far side right next to where the center of the lens was, and then look over there. And we took photos of that and then would do a reverse shot photo of that. And it always looked great because once the eye lines were in line, it looked very professional and like normal.
Part of what I'm hearing is, how do you remember an exercise? Like if you look back to your time learning the guitar, how did you learn exercises to practice?
Simply doing them again.
Okay.
That was how I did it. There was a lot of doing again. And then occasionally consulting my little book that I had. Like, you're not going to remember it all the time. So when you're starting off, you have to consult whatever you're using to inform yourself and then do it again. And eventually it becomes muscle memory.
There are two parts to that then. One is to clarify the steps of the exercise. So we actually have a clear understanding of, am I doing the things in the order I should be doing them? Am I skipping something, etc. Right? And if I believe, probably certainly at the beginner level, if the instructions are too complex and complicated, then we're going to have a difficult time recording the procedure of the exercise. Right? So there needs to be some clarity in the instructions, is what I'm saying. Right? And the second part is having that little guidebook, exercise book, so that, we can go back and remind ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think part of what we need to do, I'd probably like to encourage viewers get involved. Where's a good place? What's a good way of creating a repository of exercises? As in, do you think it's going to be better if we do kind of flashcard style instructions that you can put in an album on your phone? Or is it better having it in a PDF form on something like a Google Drive? Or is it better having a short instructional video? That's going to be different from each individual person to person, isn't it?
I think we should. The best thing about our form at the moment, I think, is that if the viewers need clarity, I think I will ask for it because I think the
asking for a friend, okay? I know this perfectly well, but this friend of mine is really unsure.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, maybe the viewer won't understand this. I think that's kind of the best part about the fact that we have the pro. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction on your screen. The pro and the new person format is that when I don't know things, we can only hope and assume that the viewer doesn't know the same things. So my gaps in knowledge hopefully.
Maybe we make this a segment, like, I don't know, monthly or every couple of weeks or whatever. Have an asking for a friend segment.
I could actually be asking for a friend. I could be collating questions from viewers. I could collate questions from viewers and then ask for a friend, isn't it? A little Q&A.
So let us know. Is this something you want to see? Thumbs up.
Or something you don't know about.
So can we get this on record, on camera? Are you willing to commit to try to do some exercises until they become a bit of a habit, until you actually start seeing results from them?
Okay, I can make a habit out of this. Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yes, we are recording. Yes. Let's set a time frame.
Right.
4 weeks, reasonable.
Okay, 4 weeks. So I get my Microsoft to-do list. Okay, 4 weeks.
Whoa, we're getting serious. When you get Microsoft involved.
Microsoft to-do list.
What's a reasonable or what's a necessary practice schedule to make this a habit? I would probably say once a week is an absolute bare bones minimum.
Okay, bare bones minimum. Good. Okay.
Think back to your learning guitar. Ideally more than once a week, but is that going to be realistic? Is that feasible?
I reckon I'm going to do like twice a week, at least once a week.
Let's stick to that. Twice a week.
Okay.
What do you think is going to be more likely to make this a habit? Shorter sessions, and I'm talking like 5 minutes-ish, or slightly longer, like half an hour?
Shorter. It's
Yeah.
what you were talking about earlier. The lizard brain likes habits when they're done quickly.
Okay, so we're going to run with 5-minute exercises or
Okay.
somewhere in that region. Let's set a reward. So 4 weeks from now, if you've done at least 8 eyeline practice sessions, what's your reward going to be? Something to give yourself.
That's a really good question. I said no more book buying this year, so I can't buy a book. I could delay watching a movie that I really like. I could be like a psycho and like say I'm not going
4
to watch
weeks,
blank
is that
movie
realistic?
until I reckon I can manage it. I could, you know what? I'll do the eyeline exercise and then give myself a reward. 8 eyeline exercises. I'll watch Dune.
Okay. All right. On the flip side, what's the forfeit?
As in, like, if I fail, is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I mean.
Forfeit is, oh man, I don't know. What's a good punishment? I don't know. I think you should think of the forfeit. That's a real teachery thing to do, I think.
No, because I don't know what's going to be an incentive for you. You need to know what the consequences are, and it needs to be on record. Meanwhile, the time.
No coffee for 3 days, right? Get this, no coffee for 3 days. Here's my logic. 3 days specifically. Here's my reasoning. If I said no coffee for a week, that's actually enough time to recover from coffee withdrawal, and that could actually have a positive outcome for me. Like, I would simply just not have to drink coffee anymore. If I do no coffee for 3 days, it will simply be 3 days of coffee withdrawal, and that's it.
Fair. Okay.
And I'll just want coffee, right?
Yeah.
So 3 days of no caffeine.
Okay. Fair.
That's good. That's a totally normal. That's not psychotic at all. Reward: watching the same movie again, probably for the 7th time. Punishment:
Seventh heaven.
headache. Punishment: headache. Yeah.
Yeah. So seventh heaven or headache.
Yeah, exactly. Like for 3 day long headache.
Yeah.
Cool. This is barbaric. Let's go. This is great.
With the eyeline exercises, I think there are 2 things we should aim at improving. How much of your struggles with eyelines currently are, I don't know whether what I'm seeing in terms of eyelines are actually matching, as in the actual ability to see an eyeline from a finished image.
I'm not great at detecting eyelines. I have thought about it. Like, I have given some thought to it, but I'm not wonderful at it.
So the flip side to that for me is that if we want to be able to set a reliable, repeatable eyeline, first of all, we need to be able to see what the eyeline is. I was so bad at them, wasted so much time at them on set. I just go, right, that's it. I have to learn this shit. I think both in terms of creative narrative intention and for learning purposes, I want to stick to 5 eyelines, kind of like we've got different shot sizes. As far as I know, there isn't a prescribed developed language for eyelines. Just for clarification so that we all know what we are dealing with, I call an eyeline closer to the lens a tighter eyeline, and I call an eyeline further away from the lens a wider eyeline.
Okay.
What kind of started demystifying and unwrapping eyelines for me was the understanding that eyelines are relative to the lens.
You have to use your clock.
The real space eyeline relationships matter less than the relationship between the lens and the eyeline relative to the lens.
Gotcha.
And I think sometimes that's where some of the confusion can happen, because your brain goes, but they are standing in the same places as they were before. But we've moved the cameras, and now why does it not look like they're looking at each other? I can physically see 2 actors stand there and stare themselves in the eye. But when I turn around and do the singles, suddenly they look like they're kind of off a little, right? So it's all relative to the lens.
So in a way, it's kind of, as a necessity, more important that, like, when you're doing your single shots, the actual eyeline is like inaccurate to maybe your 2-shot or your establishing shot, provided it looks like, the eyeline
Doug agrees.
Contradict.
We've got the dog thumbs up from that.
The eyeline can contradict the physical
geography
set up in the establishing shot, provided it looks right.
Hence the caution, here be dragons, about crossing the line.
Yeah.
Very easy to do. The geographical blocking makes sense, but it's still possible to cross the line, so it no longer makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
I am working with 5 eyelines.
And now you have little hand gestures that coincide with them.
And they are based on relative to the character looking dead center of the lens. As it so happens, because this is a reflex camera, I can actually see the aperture dead center of the lens. This is looking dead center into the lens. Then I measure the width of the eyeline by how many degrees either side of the lens am I looking. So 0 degrees would be straight down the barrel. 1 degree would be here's 0, here's 1. So can you see the difference? So that's 1.
Vaguely, yeah, yep.
That's 0. 1, 0. I'm exaggerating now by turning my head, but part of where the confusion happens as well, I think, is that it is possible to turn your head in one direction and look in a slightly different direction. So here I'm looking straight down the barrel, but my nose is pointed further to the side, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think the important distinction to make is that this is not about the position of the face. This is about the position of the eyes.
Nose direction.
Totally separate. We're not doing
Pinocchio. Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Different.
No Michael Keaton Batman stuff here. You can turn your head separate to where you're looking.
Which, most of us do. How do we figure out how many degrees either side? And I've tried a lot of different ways. I've tried compass, which actually kind of works, but it's quite cumbersome. And if you get large magnets close to the compass, then it goes all over the place.
Yeah, of course.
A smartphone compass, I have found, is actually not very reliable and repeatable indoors.
I figured as much, yeah.
Because of signal interference, etc., 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 not very helpful indoors. In terms of degrees, what measurements methods do we have?
I'm afraid to say it. Right,
viewer.
With the hands.
We are going to show you how to finger the line. And I kind of almost managed to say that with a straight face. Almost.
Okay, go on.
With one eye closed. By the way, do you know which is your dominant eye?
My right eye.
With your left eye closed and your right eye open, so your dominant eye open, at full arm's length, your pinky finger is 1 degree from one side of the finger to the other.
I'm now looking 1 degree.
So for me, it's kind of halfway inside the lens because I'm sitting that close to my lens.
No, that's pretty much the same for me. It's of the glass element of my lens, it's probably the inner third.
Yeah, same here. Sorry, no, I'm probably inner 2/3. Just inside the actual glass element. But, this is going to vary depending on how big the glass element is, how close you're sitting, etc., etc., etc. 1 degree. And if you struggle to remember, Austin Powers, the movie?
Yeah, this is Dr. Evil, right? Is that what you're about to say?
1 million, 1
degree. That will actually help me remember it.
1 million eyelines you can match reliably and repeatedly. 3 fingers at arm's length are 5 degrees wide, and it's going to be at full arm's length.
That's roughly the edge of my camera's left side.
For me, it's about where my HDMI cable goes in the side. So I've got the side door compartment open, and then the cable. Yeah. Scouts Honor. They come knocking on your door selling cookies for $5.
Yeah.
$5. Can you spare $5 for the Scouts? Goes to a good cause. 5.
For younger viewers. This was also the Hunger Games thing. I don't know.
Okay,
there are 3 books in the Hunger Games. What is this, 30 degrees?
Okay, so 5, how do we connect that to 5?
5.
Okay, have a think about it.
I'll have to, yeah.
Next measurement we are going to use for the eyelines. I'll come back to why, but it's handy to know your degrees anyway. So fist at arm's length, side to side, 10 degrees.
Right. And that's actually roughly where I'm looking at you at the moment, roughly.
Punch. You're going to go 10 rounds with a heavyweight.
That's an interesting mnemonic.
Could you survive 10 rounds with, who's a famous boxer now?
The
only one I can think of is Mike Tyson. The next one is Rock On.
That's actually giving me roughly the same result.
No, they're not. Trust me, they're not.
No, it isn't. Yeah, you're right. This is more accurate where I'm looking at you right now.
You can actually tell by going 10 plus 5.
Oh, okay.
Should be pretty much exactly the same as 15. So that's 15. So rock on for your 15 minutes of fame.
Right. Okay. All right. I think I'm handling these mnemonics. So far, we have 1,
Mm-hmm.
5,
Mm-hmm.
10,
Mm-hmm.
15.
Okay.
1, 5, 10, 15. This is actually the code that I use to activate my sleeper agents. It's true.
And there is one more. Again, we're not going to use this next measurement for the eyeline exercises, but might as well know because yeah, it's there. That one. Call you in 25 or surfs up in 25. Apparently, I'm not a surfer, but every surfer student I've met, they've got, yeah, surfs up. Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. In 25 minutes. So reasonable time to get home, get your wetsuit, get your board, get to...
I don't know.
or activity, leisure activity of dubious legality, depending on where you are in the world, where you are in the country. We'll see how this goes. Maybe we edit it out, maybe we don't.
Right, okay, and then add 25 minutes to the end of that. Of course, yeah. That one will stick. That'll be the one that everyone remembers.
Call you in 25. The ones we are going to use are 1 degree, 5 degrees, 15 degrees, and then we're going to work a few increments of 15. So we're going to go 15, 30. So 2 times 15.
Gotcha.
2 times 15 is a lot easier to measure out. And then after that, 45 and 60. Let's recap. 1, 5, 15. And the reason we're skipping 10 is you kind of alluded to it before. Perceptually on camera, there isn't that much of a difference between 10 and 15.
Yeah. 1, 5, 15, 30, and
45, 60. From there, the exercise is pretty simple. Now, in an ideal world, this is going to go a lot easier if we get more people to commit to it, because there are 2 sides to it. I am trying to build a database of everyday life eyeline images.
Right.
One variation of the exercise could be try to do at least how many everyday eyeline images, eyeline selfies, so to speak, do you think it's feasible to do in 5 minutes? I'm kind of thinking 10.
10? Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know if I would take a selfie or anything. With a phone camera, I think it's also important to note that there's like...
a number of lenses, yes.
Yeah, there's like 3 lenses on this thing. So you need to be aware of what lens you're using.
That's very easy to do. Just cover them, basically finger it one at a time and see which one blocks out your image.
I now know that I am using the lens on what is on the left side of the screen, basically.
Yep.
That lens.
And I've done this exercise in class. As in, during lockdown, we had people via Zoom in different states of Australia. We even had one person in Singapore. We had one person in Hong Kong.
Wow.
And
so I'm just testing that
by figuring out where on their devices their webcams were, we managed to match eye lines across multiple continents, multiple countries remotely.
Damn, that's pretty impressive.
So that's the value.
Have we matched our eye lines?
No.
I don't think we have.
The way my setup is at the moment,
yeah,
that would be 15 degrees for me.
No, same for me actually. You're landing just here, which is on the...
So like the way I'm looking at you on my computer screen, you're just a little wider than 15 degrees for me. So I've kind of adjusted rather than looking straight at you. That would be looking straight at your image on my laptop. That would be looking at 15 degrees. So straight to you, 15 degrees.
You're spot on 15 for me.
Yeah. So
should we see if our viewers want to do this? The exercise? You are aware your camera's off, right?
I am. My eyeline. What is my eyeline?
Cool. What's your eyeline right now?
It's kind of black. Very black at the moment.
So on the large scale, basically what our exercise is for the next 4 weeks, and if the viewers want to join in or whatever, I guess Google Drive was. For the next 4 weeks, roughly twice a week, we produce our own eyeline images. We take photos of ourselves with different eyelines. We kind of label them for ourselves. We know what eyelines they are personally. Pop them all in a big drive or something together.
We'll pop that in the show notes. I do have a drive for my Eyeline Database.
We could probably get a couple more people in on it, and every twice a week or so, we produce our own eyeline images, knowing what the eyelines are, or what they're meant to be at least, and then guess for another batch of images by a different student. And see if we get them right. Wonderful. It's a brilliant exercise. It's great.
I kind of feel a little lost because it kind of feels like we've actually gotten to the natural end of a recording and we've actually come to a natural end of a topic.